Push that button.
Yeah,
Push the
it's
button.
noon. Let's go.
All right.
Push the button.
Ignore the episode 45. Ignore the it's bad from YouTube because it's not always bad. Skadoosh.
There we are. We're live.
We are live. Hey, how about that? This is Daryl as a service for Regarding 365, joined by Mr. Daniel Glenn from
What's up?
Nashville, the home of.
Well, Nashville, Tennessee, the home of two wonderful events this past weekend. Cloud Friday Nashville and SharePoint Saturday Nashville. I am spent, tired. Not as tired as I was yesterday, but we had some great events. People came out and it was a fun time, but it was a lot of work. So
Yeah,
it's
2
done
days.
now.
2 days.
Yep.
I mean, what's the story of having like a Friday and a Saturday together? Two different events.
Well, this is our 5th year in a row doing SharePoint Saturday. And last year we did a whole lot of crossover with Office 365. And we just felt like there was a lot of topics that could be talked about for Azure and for Office 365. And it would be good but we couldn't, really have all of those plus SharePoint. And so we really tried to focus as much as possible on putting SharePoint content on Saturday and then putting cloud stuff on Friday. And so that's where the kind of concept was, hey, let's do that. Let's maybe have another day that it would be cloud. So that's where we went, and it worked out well.
Wi-Fi isn't set up on
Oh
your
my
tab.
goodness, sorry.
For help,
Yeah, the Wi-Fi.
go
Holy
to the
cow.
Alexa app.
Which bot are we talking to? Is it
Wi-Fi
Alexa or
on.
Cortana or?
Well, that was Alexa freaking out. I'm having issues with my device today. Sorry.
Hey, so we better get into it. The Message Center
Yes,
is
we
2
do.
weeks full, and so we'll start looking at some of this stuff. And let me try and blow this up a bit too, so that it's a little more visible. There we go. We're good. All right, so we
Yep.
better get back down to the bottom of that list. Whoa, it was
Look,
quite a list, and
we
I know that
scrolled for
I've
a
got
while.
some interesting
Oh,
stuff
look at that
in here.
funky feature. Do you see
I know.
the new feature for the Message Center is this whole, it doesn't scroll very well. If everybody sees the views and this is brand new. The last day it looks, I think.
Well, what I like about this is that the the
What
text
do you
is
like?
stylishly transparent, and so I can see through my menu and see the content, and it just really gives me more of an impression that there's just so much more to cover. Let's just clip this major update out of the way. We can talk about that when we get there.
Yep.
All right. All right. So updated usage page in a site usage page in SharePoint Online.
Yep, this is good. If you go ahead and click on the additional information button, they've done a great job at the having a post ready for this, and it is one of the, I think, failing bits about SharePoint has been, for the last couple of versions, has been giving the ability for people to understand usage and what's going on and reporting. We actually had a way better version of reporting several versions ago in SharePoint, and so I'm really liking what they're doing, focusing on giving metrics for people to understand what's going on with their sites. So this is another example of them doing and improving on giving those reporting metrics. So it's good. None of this stuff has been available to us in this format for a while, so it's good stuff.
Trending documents, shared externally.
Yeah, we've had some trending stuff for a little while in the preview admin center, I believe in the admin center. But anyway, in the trending documents and having some of that, but having those, the graphs, and everybody loves their graphs. So been able to really get an idea of what's going on in your site and how many visits are going on. Now, this doesn't give you some of the stuff that a lot of people ask for. I want to know how long people are on this page, and then what did they click, and then where did they go from there? And that's not this, but this does give you a little bit more reporting capability, and I guess that like I said, everybody loves their graphs. So. Yep.
And for something like unique reporters, that's more important for those sites that are available and public to the whole organization, not necessarily to a team working on a project.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right. And like you say, good to see additional information that is additional.
Yes, that's good.
Rationalize an experience in Yammer and Office 365. So they're removing a few things as they, I guess, trim out the fat. I don't know. These are things that, like you think of org charts, for example. Now that it's part of that Delve experience and being able to go in and see it on a contact card and see it wherever you are, it feels like that was a bit of extra weight. No need to have that. I won't talk about the many of the others, just to say that like the desktop Notify application, no need for that too, because we've got the Yammer desktop app, which uses the same Electron browser as Microsoft Teams. So in both ways. Do they both pop up? I think they both pop up notifications and ignore Windows 10's quiet time or
which
quiet
is great,
hours.
Right?
Yeah, it is great. Yeah. All right.
Do they also ignore presentation mode? That's the one thing that always bugs me is if I'm doing presentation mode, I don't want anything notifying me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that both of them do. Yeah, that's right.
Great. Perfect. Mm-hmm.
Let's trim that too. Rationalize that. That could be a t-shirt. The access request flow in OneDrive for SharePoint and
for OneDrive and
Online.
SharePoint Online. Yep. This is this is one of those things that a lot of people have a little bit of struggle, and it's been this way for a long time. If you make your way to a SharePoint site, for example, that you don't have access to, maybe whether it's a link on a page or someone emails you a link, then if the setting has been turned on to allow requests to access the site, then you're given this generic, basically a box to say, please explain why you want access. Done. And so you just kind of fill it in. This is giving you the ability to customize that, to, put in a message on there to say, why do you need access? Or, hey, contact this person rather than filling out this form. Or, but then also the ability, to kind of see into your access request better. And this is another update this week that actually has a good additional information link. So explaining that and giving you a nice screenshot of what it'll look like once you get that. So, so good deal. I like, how I am. I like clicking that button and actually getting good information. Or that link
that's right. That's right. And not seeing that someone's taken a message, cut and paste and dropped something in there with crazy references. Look, to be honest, the request access page, I see that more often when we've sent a link to share with someone to a document and it isn't quite right, so you get that request back, but that request was often it just sort of disappeared into the ether, because if you didn't know where to look, if someone was requesting access, then you wouldn't go in and process that access request, would you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's exactly right. So I'm liking that improvement. And often it would also happen if you had multiple tenants that you're logged into. You click a link and it opens up in your default browser, and that browser is logged in at a different tenant, and so you get the access request thing. But for legitimate, I don't call that legitimate in that, if you have multiple tenants. But for normal people, regular people, they're really usually only working in one tenant.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is good.
Mm-hmm. We have some updates to Office 2016, so we get those every month. It's good to see when they highlight that. And there is a page. I believe this one is part of the additional information. It usually will take you through to the page which talks about what's new in Office. And good to look at there. As part of that message, it does suggest that if you are on the monthly update channel for oh wow, they've screwed this page. Oh no, it's still loading.
Yeah. Hold off now, don't criticize yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If you're on that monthly update sort of list of you've got your organisation receiving updates every month, then it's good to use that as a trigger to say go and tell people what's changed and what's new. But yeah, in this month, the interesting thing I thought was listen to your emails. Have your emails read out to you. So I saw that sort of button appear in the home ribbon menu and thought, I must try that out. Yeah. I don't know if I can keep up with thinking and working on something while listening to those emails and actually giving it attention, but.
Well, have you ever received a novel in email? You know what I'm talking
never.
About? So I'm thinking, especially those emails that are just really, really long, and you're like, oh my goodness, just clicking play on that and letting it read it to you may be better than, and you could be doing something else and just listening while that novel is read to you. Maybe that would be helpful. I don't think for small emails, it would be helpful at all, but maybe for those larger ones it will.
Yeah.
But I like it. Yeah.
Well, we'll try it out. It's not really sort of seen as an accessibility feature, but it probably could be used that way too.
Yeah, as long as can you turn it on by default? That would be great. Although for accessibility, there's already features a way to do that. So anyway.
Yeah, and it, usually there's a screen reader or a holistic kind of,
Now, if we can turn this into a translator as well, that'd be nice. If you're learning another language, be able to read and for it anyway.
Yeah. Power Apps web part for SharePoint Online is in preview. Yeah. So if you're developing those Power Apps, you can now expose them on your modern team sites.
Yeah. As this is big. Integration points are big, so this is nice to have the ability to just throw it on the page, and it doesn't have to be linked to SharePoint, right? It doesn't have to have yes, you can create Power Apps for your SharePoint list and interact with your SharePoint list, but this could be a connection. The connection for the form could be some other system. It could be a database. It could be anything. It doesn't have to have, SharePoint can just be the location your users are going to fill out the form, but it doesn't have to, just be a SharePoint-centric form. So I think this is good. I was just having a conversation with a gentleman at SharePoint Saturday about the Power BI web part, in that they hadn't even started thinking about, wait a minute, we can put Power BI reports on a SharePoint page rather than having to say, okay, you want a report? Well, you got to go to Power BI. No, just keep them in SharePoint. If they're consuming internet resources, that's where they're going is their SharePoint online site, then, view your reports there as well. Okay, fill out your Power Apps form now, right? Don't send them off to some other application. Keep them right there. And it's kind of that same vein that Teams is trying to do, right? With a collaboration element within your team. And then you just think about, we just had this, our intranet's still relevant. Well, this is kind of that, same concept, but in SharePoint, right?
Yep.
So
bringing it all together on the same page, like Teams as tabs within the same channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Changes to document ID URLs, and I've often thought this is quite a cool feature. Where a document might be shifted or moved, and there's an ID behind it that means that you can still get to that document using the URL which has the document ID in it. Now, I had a question around this. What is changing is the document ID URL is being removed from the share dialog. So if I go to share a document, then the URL that's there is no longer visible. Maybe someone in the chat, Erica or Jeff, or anyone, Liz there maybe, has some thoughts around this. But I probably would still want that URL to be in the shared dialogue. I don't want to go hunting for it. I want to grab that and share that with the person. And now we've got this new shared dialogue box. Where would that have appeared?
Yeah, and we were talking about this right before we went on. I don't have a complete thought on this, so I for those in the chat right now, or if you're watching this after we've been live in the recording, throw it in the comments to the video, but or hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag RE365. But I'd really like to understand, is this a good thing, or is this something that is being done because of something else and might actually be a bad thing when you're thinking about what you just described? Getting that URL, that URL that will always be there with the document ID. I'm just not sure. I don't know yet.
But it is visible in a column when you go to the document library. I guess you'd have to expose that column to still get it, or go into the document properties panel and grab it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liz says that she loves the doc IDs, but not sure about the users really care. Probably not. They just want to share that document. And with those 4 options now we have, where it's share with everyone in the org, share with specific people, and share with people who have access already. Maybe it's not as important.
Yeah, so click the additional information.
Yeah, I'll do that. Before I do that, Erica says that the doc IDs are really important for librarians and records managers now, but not so much other use cases.
For librarians, yeah.
Yeah, Phil, late. Apologies. Come on, man.
Right
we took the role. Sorry. Go back to the student office and say why you're late.
It's funny. I had while we're pulling this up, that additional information this weekend, I had one conference room I was kind of using as the storage room / office for printing and all this. And so whenever I'd ask somebody to come in and talk to me for a second, they was like, "Ooh, somebody's going to the principal's office." Anyway, at the bottom of this, you were talking about the information. How do we get that URL?
Yeah.
The information call out for each document. That document ID is going to be, if you keep scrolling, is going to be a field, right? Well, you'd be able to right click on that and get the link, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a hyperlink.
So
in a very stylish
maybe
purple
that's how
for
you
that
would
theme.
get it. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, that's one way to get it.
Anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep it on going.
Yeah.
So we have advanced data governance events-based retention. This is an E5 feature. This is something that, again, it's making that E5 useful, where if you want to trigger a certain retention policy, you can make it happen based on an event such as someone leaving the company or ending a project. If there's anything like that, which means there's less requirement for user interaction or for a sysadmin to come behind and do some kind of archiving process, then that's cool. I haven't really looked too deep into it. It's likely to be triggered off some metadata around the age of the or rather the end of the project, or if someone has left the company.
I will like to play with this. It's I don't have it yet, but for just that, that last sentence talking about, the retention period of a contract, and what do you do after that? So it'll be interesting to see what capabilities it has and what we can do, because I can think of some solutions of, I want to do some archiving, or I want to do some, with the changes corporations are making with discoverability and all that. Just how does that all work, and how can we automate some of those processes that may be taking some cycles for people to accomplish? So it'll be interesting.
It looks like, maybe Erica's got some early access to it, but still saying that it's still very manual. So not something you can trigger use cases.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Okay, so YouTube is doing its funky thing. Sorry for those of you who might be getting skips right now, but we are back. I found this one interesting. So this is a major update. They wanted to get the news out there that for some reason they've got to apply some age gating on Yammer. Now this is just for the orgs that are using Yammer that are not using Office 365 standalone. And so when it is within Office 365, you've got more control around detecting that age or managing that age. But a question, for the Yammer people, what is the reason for it to now be 16 and older? The need to prove the age, is it something around the GIFs? Are the GIFs not always as filtered as they should be? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I really don't. Does this have something to do with, some law like GDPR? I don't think so. Which has nothing to do with the age, I don't think. So I really don't know. I really don't know, because we've had a law here, in the U.S. but the age was 13. You couldn't legally sign up for any sort of site if you're under 13. So, but I don't know what 16. I don't know if anybody knows what it means. But yes, I did say GDPR, globally, Phil. So I don't know if we're having a drinking game or something, but every time we say GDPR. But yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But it's happening. So be aware of it. If you're using Yammer on its own, then you do need to make sure that. Actually, no. How would I say this? Ensure that they have an Office 365 identity. Otherwise, their account is suspended. Okay,
yes. Yeah, because this is non-Office 365 accounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they can have an Office 365 account if they're under 16, apparently, the way this is reading, but and have access. But if they don't have one, then they're going to get deleted.
WhatsApp just went to 16 in Europe. So it's one of those changes that's been introduced, and it's just global. Whether anyway, let's move along. But it's a major update. Which we've got a couple of things in Intune, so we'll skip over those in My Tenants. We're connecting. Oh, you take this one. This is good.
Yeah, this is big. I mean, and Microsoft has been talking about it for a while, and it was all over the social media last week. We are now able to getting existing SharePoint Online sites, connecting those to Office 365 groups now to a new group. And when we say site, we mean in SharePoint world, there's sites and there's webs. So site is a site collection, web is a subsite. So we're able to connect that existing SharePoint Online site to the new Office 365 group instead of just getting a new one, right? So this is, I have a SharePoint site for HR, right? And now, and it's been existing. I want to create an Office 365 group for HR. Up until now, if I did that, I would get yet another SharePoint Online site. So being able to connect that existing one is, I think, very important. So this is good.
Yeah, and I would say probably one preventative measure up until now had been, all these existing sites, we have to create or add them to the list of prevented names or blocked names so that they don't get created and you don't get all these sort of duplicates. Definitely.
One thing to highlight.
I was going to say it's relevant for me to a current project that's going to be a big deal. So good to see.
One thing I was going to highlight is that right now it's just API and PowerShell to be able to do this. But it says in late May, we will expand this capability in the settings menu. Well, what's happening in late May? Daryl, do you know what's happening in late May?
Little old conference in North America with Yeah.
Yeah.
SharePoint added.
Yeah, the SharePoint added. Yeah, it's the SharePoint conference North America, and I would expect that starts May 21st, I believe, is that Monday is when it starts,
Hmm.
with some pre stuff before that, and so I would expect to see this highlighted there.
Yep.
I'm guessing. I don't have any inside knowledge about that, but I mean they're saying late May, and this is a pretty cool feature that a lot of people are going to use. So.
Yeah, yeah. It's likely that there'll be some other significant changes to the admin UI to, control things like this, plus whatever else they're announcing.
Yeah.
Good-o. We're almost there. What else have we got? Yammer supports 365 naming policies. Yeah.
What's up with Yammer? So many updates this. God,
I know.
man.
It's like they've been accused so often that they're not doing anything, but they've got a lot to talk about. And really showing that yes, we're catching up. That we also fall in line with the Office 365 naming policy. So if you have blocked or reserved names, if you have prefixes and suffixes that you might want to add to those groups, then Yammer will apply or obey those rules.
And this is something that came up when we did our first debate over allowing users to create groups.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to put a link or something, I don't know, but is the naming policies and the governance around how those are created and making sure that, you're not getting junk. And so this is this is a good example of an improvement that wasn't there, but Yammer now supporting that, I think is a good thing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right. Question mark on this one. So Microsoft Teams trial. You can get a trial of Microsoft Teams for commercial cloud customers using Azure AD. Here you go. It will include, where are we? Planner, Flow, Office 365 Plan 1, Office Online, Power Apps for Office Online Plan 1, and Sway. So, yeah. If you
Sway! Okay, then let's sign up. It's got Sway. Let's do it. It's so worth it.
I saw a recent was a blog post in the tech community saying, hey, here's some more stuff you can do with Sway. We haven't heard much about Sway recently. But yeah, my question mark over this announcement was just like, okay, is this worthy of, like, let's peel it back. Remember, we always say that these announcements are in our message center because they're relevant to us, to my tenant. Now, this is telling me I'm using Azure AD, yes, because I have Office 365. So it's also saying, well, you might also want to have Teams. Yeah, I've got Teams as well because I've got Office 365. This is more relevant to Azure AD customers, which probably maybe not even going to Office 365. They're using the Azure portal. So, yeah, here you go. Have Teams. We'll keep moving. We've got a minute or two left.
Yeah, it's kind of promotional there, and it's just weird. That it seems out of place. That's the way I'll put it.
Yeah. Your quarantine capabilities for flagged files in ATP. ATP saying, this is a file that I think there's something wrong here. Could have a virus or something dodgy in it. And so you can pop that over into a quarantine as part of advanced threat protection. What do you need to do? Nothing. There's nothing for you to do, but it is coming. And it just, if you shouldn't be questioning this anymore, sysadmins, about, this Office 365 thing is taking my job away. There's going to be less for me to do. Here you go.
Nope.
Here's some other things to check out around security for files that have been flagged and quarantined. Gradually rolling out early this May. And along with that, email quarantine capabilities.
Updates on that. And I think... Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say likely leveraging the similar engine and features behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I have said for a while that Office 365 email is by far the best email service that I trust as far as security. Now, I don't I don't want to give any impression that it's full, that it's so secure that nothing can ever happen. But I think it is pretty. They're doing a great job of if enhancing those capabilities. And so this is yet another. And if you read down about how it affects you, you're going to get this a new modern experience with enhanced search and such, and the extended retention of quarantine messages. So they're making improvements. I think it was great, and now it's getting even better. So stay tuned, and anyone who has any questions about this, I would highly suggest them going to the security site, Microsoft security site for Office 365, and learning more about the whole perspective of security. But these are great improvements, and I've even seen some improvements here in the last month of quarantine items and getting a better view into what's quarantined. And I think it's doing a better job even in the last month or so. So.
All right, well, that brings us to a massive end of a massive list, 2 weeks worth. Last week, yep, it's crazy times. I was preparing a presentation, finishing off some work for a customer, and picking up some new work, getting familiar with a customer and a client, and a partner. So that was Office 365 Message Center of the Week. That was episode 45. We do have... you might have seen, we have a spot at North American SharePoint Conference. Yeah?
No, well, we do. We most certainly do. We will be broadcasting live during the conference. And so I'll be there live. I hope that every one of our regular listeners and watchers will be there, will join me. I'll be on the expo floor broadcasting live. And then that'll be on Monday, the 21st of May. And then on Tuesday, the Regarding 365 team will be there doing a Re365 TV broadcast, and that's with Owen and Alistair and myself, and so we'll be having a great time, so please come join us then. So if you're going to be at SBC North America, please definitely check out that schedule and join us live. We'd love to see you and love to have you, and be part of that experience.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we're always encouraging people to come and share their stories of how they use an Office 365, their challenges, their wins, their losses, because that's what makes it real. We can go along and listen to content at conferences, and sometimes it's a bit markety, but it's our real experience.
That's not us. That's right.
Rock along. No, we're not. We're not a marketing. So Message Center of the Week there was. See you again next week, same time, and have a great week. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody.